Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
I'm Richard.
And this is Owen.
And we are celebrating Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2024.
Yay, 2024.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
And we have the proper beverage, a nice sparkling wine from Alsace, France, to celebrate.
Woohoo. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we have a special guest this evening.
We do.
Well,
And can you introduce yourself? Because I don't want to butcher your last name.
Okay. So first and last name, right? So my first name is Rheana. Last name is Te-Chop Pinyawat. And
Te-Chop Pinyawat.
Te-Chop Pinyawat, yeah.
Te-Chop Pinyawat.
Te-Chop Pinyawat.
Yeah, it's really phonetic.
Te-Chop
1, 2, 3, 4,
Pinyawat.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I said
5.
it. Can you say
That's
it?
good.
Te-Chop Pinyawat.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very,
And she is a Pilates guru. I am going to call you the guru because Richard talks about you.
Okay.
And Richard is obsessed with fitness and Pilates and health and wealth and the whole body, you know, just being so...
mind, body, spirit, baby.
Exactly.
There we go.
And that's what we're talking about. Mind, body, spirit for 2024.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
And New Year's resolutions.
Rena, would you give us a little bit about your background, please?
Okay, going right into it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to
so
hear who you are and where you're from and
Yeah.
you know how you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And how you can fix me in 2024.
so I don't know. Do you want me to start from like how I got into Pilates?
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
Okay.
What did you do before
Um,
Pilates?
Well, prior to Pilates, so I've been an instructor for about 4 years now. With the company.
4 years instructing, but how long did it take you to get that certification?
The certification itself is like 500 hours, and depending on the person. For me, it took probably a good like 6 months to get to that point.
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, you can be really dedicated and hit your hours and do all that stuff for your certification program. And then I started teaching as an apprentice, so I was still building my hours during that time while I was teaching, but I was actively teaching group classes. And so
After 6 months.
give or take, yeah, just about that.
So we can all do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear it's a lot.
Yeah. So, well, let's say this. It probably took me to get to the point of truly being certified about like 2 years, because there was pandemic and everything that went on during the time. But during that time I was teaching, it was adding on to my certification hours. So there's certain certification hours that you have to complete that requires you to practice teach, but my practice teaching was actually in front of people with members and everything like that. And so
And is that standard? Is that what happens? Or were you just the
no, every program's a little bit different.
valedictorian in the class, and so you got to do that?
No, not necessarily, but like to become an apprentice, it required me to go through my master trainer. She had to make sure that I was solid as an instructor to just let me out there. And a lot of what you have to build to be a solid instructor is having that presence, especially in a group class setting. So some people walk out of these programs and are like, I can't teach in front of a group, you know. And here at the studio that I teach at, that Richard goes to, you know, I have 12 bodies in front of me, and so there's 12 people I can focus on. You know, that's a fairly large group. If you go through other teacher training programs, you might end up walking away maybe only doing private sessions, maybe max 2 people, 3 people. They call them like semi-private sessions. And some people are just comfortable that way, or they have a specialized group that they work with. Maybe it's more in a PT style setting, right? Physical therapy style setting. I do more group fitness, you know, and
you do both. You do privates too.
Yeah, I do privates within our studio, so I do a little bit of both, and I like that. It gives me variety, and it gives me, you know, ways to be creative.
And you get to meet a lot of people. That sounds really
a
fun.
ton of people.
That's
A
really
ton
cool.
of people.
Owen, would you try Pilates?
Oh, yeah. I think I have tried Pilates before because my mom used to do it like almost every day.
Oh,
And I would
that's
always
right.
be in like a Pilates studio and I would be watching them. And it looked like fun. It looked like a nice relaxing time.
Yeah.
Well, now, am I correct? Did you have some kind of medical background?
Yeah, so
Before?
I started, so prior to Pilates, I was in medical school. I went.
Really?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow.
That's real.
Yeah.
Dr. Rheana.
Yeah. So.
Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of spelled like Rhiannon, but 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So prior to starting Pilates, I was in medical school, and I honestly had a really hard time. A lot of pressure.
Where was
honestly.
this?
At the U of A here, right down in
Oh,
downtown
really?
Phoenix,
Yeah,
actually.
great.
So it was an MD program. and I went through all 4 years, rotations, everything. You know, I've went through surgery and OB-GYN and did all those things, and it was incredible, and I learned a lot. But I really struggled when it came to like test taking, and there was still, I think, a part of me that didn't feel 100% committed to it. And you really, really can't go in without being truly committed to doing that. And, you know, the patients deserve that much of your commitment. And so, you know, towards the end, I was really struggling, and I took kind of a hiatus, not really deciding if I'm going to really graduate and go through with like residency and stuff like that.
How many years did you complete?
Oh, I completed all 4 years of the training,
Nice.
but I just never graduated.
Okay.
And I was kind of in this limbo stage of, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with my life, right? And I was like, I moved back home with my parents, super depressed, didn't know what I was going to do, but I was like, okay, at the very least, I need to get moving, because I was just lounging around doing nothing.
See, this is incredible to hear this part of
Right.
your story,
Story,
because
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people do decide they want to do one career and they realize it's not for them.
It's
Not their passion.
And medicine's really hard. You get in this kind of rat race of like, you know, very sequential way of doing things. You think about the people that go into medicine, they're very type A, they're very logical people. And when you go in, you do really well, you graduate, you become a doctor, you hit all these marks, and they take years, decades to get to where they want to be to become a physician. And when you get there, sometimes you wonder, like, is this what I really want to do? That's a hard reality to face, right?
Yeah.
To go, I
Yeah.
spent all this money, all this time studying for this, and I'm not 100% happy with it, right? And so once you're in medicine and you're a physician, if you're thinking, oh man, I am not happy, but you make such good money, you're secure in terms of your job, right? A logical person would have a very hard time leaving it. And so where I see a lot of people, other physicians who have approached me before in the past, like, don't go into medicine, don't do this. They're like not happy because they can't get out of it. They don't see any other way out. They already have a family. They're supporting their family through their career. It's like, what do you do? And then that's all that you've known, because you've only studied medicine, right? It's hard sometimes to find an alternative path, and a lot of them feel stuck. At least there's some people who have approached me before, trying to talk me out of going to medicine prior to me getting to medical school, and I just never saw it, right? I never understood what they meant until like after the fact. Now looking back, it's like, oh, I can see why it was such a struggle for them.
And it's interesting because my dad, bless his heart, he passed away not too long ago, and he was so passionate about being a doctor. It was kind of like that movie Patch Adams. I mean, he was obsessed with being a doctor. I
Love to
mean,
help people,
right?
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you were sometimes at his medical office helping out, and he would see patients for free. It wasn't about the money. He really wanted to help people and heal people. If somebody didn't have the money, they just weren't charged. Just that's how it was, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of doctors out there like that, but I agree with you. There's some that get in there and then they're not happy.
It's not what and the industry's changed so much, so the idea of helping people sometimes gets convoluted with all the paperwork and all the other stuff that you have to do, the insurance that you have to deal with, all the
Oh my
other
God.
stuff, and the nuances on the side,
that-
right? The business side of it, that's not fun and kind of takes the passion a little bit away. So I can see why like
Listen,
someone goes through
yeah.
and just like, oh, this is not for me
I know
anymore, but they can't
doctors
get out.
that get into, they get their MD, they're in practice, and they become disillusioned because of the insurance game, the pharmaceutical game.
Sure.
They say I'm here to really, I had great intentions of really helping people, and I feel like I'm being hindered.
Sure.
But it's
And
with any
actually-
field. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure there's lawyers out there that
Yeah,
get
for
into
sure.
that. I mean, there's all
yeah.
kinds. So really, I think our 2024 New Year's message would be find your passion
100%.
and make sure. And maybe as you're in school, go and intern with, whatever, whether it's lawyer, doctor, Pilates instructor, and make sure that that's
like
what you
try
want to
new
do.
things and don't get stuck on like a singular thing, because you never know, you might like something else more.
Right.
Right. But then also you can be a little bit like where you're doing too many things and not good at anything.
Right.
So you kind of just need to find your passion.
There's like
Right.
there's a certain point where you just
Yeah.
So you obviously interested in fitness.
Right. Well, in medicine in general, in terms
Yeah.
of healing people, yes. For me, I stumbled upon funny story. So, again, in a very not so great place mentally, you know, I went to the grocery store with my mother and just to get out of the house.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, what was this, like?
College age?
No, I'm 38 right now. So like this was what, 5 years ago at this point.
Okay.
So 33. I was like,
Well, you say I never say my age. That makes you know.
Yeah, you can do the math. Yeah, it's fine.
But you're a
like,
I'm a bigger baby. You're a baby.
but yeah, so you know, I went there and I saw this Pilates studio that was going to open right next door, and I was like, you know what, I need a part-time job. Maybe it's like a minimum wage, but it gives me a free work, you know, free exercise as well. I can do that kind of working at a gym, you know, the idea.
New, yeah.
Exactly. And so I walked up, I was like, hey, do you guys need someone to work at the front desk? It's like, sure, we're gonna open in like a few weeks, like that's great. And so I was like, all right, it's something that's like right near my parents' house, you know, and so
you can walk there.
Not to that point, but like a 5-minute drive, right?
Okay.
It's so easy, right by the grocery store, the Trader Joe's I go to. And then I started working there. I started taking classes regularly, and I was like, oh my gosh, my body's changing great. I'm loving this. I like the energy. It's like a lot of positivity in the studio. People who go to the gyms like this, they want to be there. They're not really dragging themselves in there, right? And so the atmosphere, you know, when I think
They're
about
enthusiastic, like Richard.
Right.
That's
you
all
know,
we can talk
the
about.
endorphins, and you know, people choose to be there, and we had you know, we established a really, really great environment in our studio, and the more I was doing it, I was like, I can teach this. I think I can do this. And then we started our studio had its own teacher training program. We hired a master trainer to come in and teach. And so I enrolled, and I was like, okay, let's try this. And
is that expensive?
I mean, it's not cheap. It's several $1,000s, and so
like what does it cost?
Like about $5,000.
Oh, it's expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some programs out there.
Serious training.
Yeah, it's 500 hours is not quick and easy. Most people take about a year to complete it, and so you got to really commit to your time and energy.
Okay, so it's 500 hours.
500 hours of training, correct?
Okay. Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay, so if you did 6 months, how many hours a day were you doing?
Well, I mean, 6 months only got me to a few hundred hours. The rest of my hours came from teaching the classes. And so at a certain number of hours, I applied to become an apprentice. And so anything that I taught from there could apply to the hours I need to complete my actual certification. But I felt through my program, and my master trainer also felt that I had a strong enough capacity of knowledge and understanding of the body and how to articulate that, which is the hardest part. Like, you can know what your body feels like and what it's doing, but if you can't truly articulate it to where it translates in someone else's body to tell them how to do it and how to move, it's hard to be a Pilates instructor. You can't really instruct, right? Or a Pilates teacher, as we would like to call it.
But that was smart that you were working at the front desk, because then you could hear all the classes.
I picked up all these cueings. Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I heard the way people, and you can kind of casually observe, you know, from the other side. I don't think it was intentional for me, because like I said, I only applied just for a little bit of side cash to figure out what my next step was, because I had this like medical knowledge that I felt like I needed to do something more with. And that experience that I needed to do something more with, and I was like, oh, this is just a part-time whatever, and I'm just getting a free workout out of it. And it just happened to evolve into what it is now, and being a Pilates instructor as like a full-time job.
I love it.
So
cool,
yeah.
That's
So I mean,
incredible.
it's
cool
a
story.
different origin story, I guess. But I think a lot of people that I've met coming through are looking for that change. They're looking to move out of that I'm sitting at my desk all day type of job as a Pilates instructor. So I'm on my feet. Yeah, I'm not working out with Richard, like, you know, I demonstrate some things, but I'm more there to be a presence of, okay, watching someone's body. Are they moving the way I expect them to? Can I help them modify to fit the, you know, whatever's ailing them that day, or help them through their workout more or less. More like
so you're not also working out at the same time?
No, Pilates instructors work a little bit differently than, say, like a Zumba instructor or like a spin instructor, when they're on the bike and they're doing the workouts with you. So it's interesting the way our studio is structured. I teach blocks of like anywhere from 3 up to 7 classes back to back. So
and different classes
and
too.
different class types, right? And so in other exercises like spin, you can't imagine a spin instructor doing 7 hours
Yeah,
with their
that
spin.
would
It's a
be-
lot, right? You know, they
Right.
expend so much energy in that, but
Are you demonstrating anything?
just a little bit, and,
Yeah.
and only if there's an open reformer, if
Right.
someone's not getting it, because there's different learning styles. You know,
Mhm.
I've come to learn that not everyone understands the words that are coming out of my mouth. They have to kind of see it too,
Yeah.
I'm somebody that needs to see it.
right?
Like a visual
So,
learner.
yes.
The visual learners,
Yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
as I've gone through and learned from just the experience, like I've learned to say things in multiple different ways, show things different ways, and present things in different ways, just so people can learn or move a little bit different. So it's been a learning curve in that regard, but I really enjoy it. It's
Yeah. And
challenging,
you're with a company, our company, which is growing, has how many studios now? 12,
Yeah, so-
I think.
So when I
Yeah.
started with the company, when I walked up to that tent, we were just opening. That was the second studio that my owner was franchising, right? And so that was number two. Now today, I think we have 12 here in the valley.
Wow.
Oh.
So from either building or
What
acquiring.
do we call this?
The studio name?
Yes.
Oh, Club Pilates.
It's
Oh,
all
Club Pilates.
Club Pilates.
Club
You probably see it
Pilates,
quite
which is
a-
nationwide, you know, and it's
Right.
a franchise, and people
Mhm.
own franchises, and vary. Some people own 2 studios, some people own 12, 12
Multiple.
or more.
So how
Right.
does somebody just decides I want to buy one? How does that come about?
So the parent company is called Exponential Fitness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and they have a lot of, they acquired a ton. If you've seen Pure Bar, Cycle Bar,
Oh, yeah.
This is
Stretch
all
Lab,
the same
Yoga
umbrella,
Six,
right?
AKT Gilbert. I mean, Club Pilates is one of their big ones that they acquired, and they franchise out. I think they also own Rumble Boxing, stuff like that. And so
It's huge, yeah.
you can approach them, to franchise. And from my understanding, like
Mm-hmm.
the entry gate to get a franchise is fairly low. But there's a big investment because Pilates equipment in general is very expensive. And you can
Like,
consider-
what does a reformer cost?
so a reformer, at least the one that we use in our studio,
Mhm.
I think about $5,000-6,000 for
Oh.
just that piece.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole reformer's only that much?
Yes, and then
Well,
I
like
heard they're like $100,000.
no,
Someone told me that.
no,
That's
no,
not
no,
true.
There's no
No.
reformers
Probably the
unless
studio.
it's made of solid
It's
gold.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I could get a reformer for $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could get one
Okay.
for your home,
Okay. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
or a used one for less.
Right.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah.
different models. There's
And
different
lots
qualities.
of instructors that I know have a reformer at home.
Mm.
I acquired them too. Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause you want to
Okay.
play with
That's
it in
very
your own body.
yeah.
So.
Some practice.
But the equipment isn't cheap, and so putting together a studio of that times 12, right, could be a lot,
Yeah.
right, and a lot of different pieces and a lot of different.
Okay,
other
so you're saying
equipment.
because if you're buying 12 reformers times 5,
times 5
It's not
plus
just reformers,
there's
too.
other
pieces that go with it.
right, accessories.
It's
that,
unique. Club Pilates is unique in that each station,
Mhm.
and there's always 12 stations in each. It's the same in each studio. Has a reformer.
Mhm.
It has a spring chair, a springboard.
Mhm.
It has a bar,
Mhm.
and it's got TRX hanging from the ceiling. So
Right.
it's
Wow.
very comprehensive.
Right, so it gives variety.
Yeah,
And the workouts are definitely more contemporary. Pilates, I think I can talk about all day in terms of like its origin stories and how it's come about, like from
Mhm.
a classical stance into what it is now, and
So if Owen and I haven't done Pilates and we
Mhm.
want to come take your class,
Mhm.
which class would you recommend we come to this week?
oh, okay. So I would start you off with our Reformer Flow, our level 1.0 class.
Mm.
Okay.
So
You can
Is-
do a free intro.
I don't want to do
Right.
that. I want to just do
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Because
right.
a long time
You
ago,
can-
I
you
went
can
with
do
your
a
mom.
one
Yeah.
without doing
A
an
long time
intro,
ago, I
right?
went to some studio by Desert Ridge or
Yeah, I
something.
remember that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the one I remember.
And so I have, but it's probably been 5 years.
Mhm.
This is before COVID. So
Sure.
5 or 6 years.
Mhm.
So I'm rusty, but I'll pick it up. Trust
Right.
me, I'm not. I can do it.
yeah, no, for sure.
So-
It's the
should.
level 1
Keep
class
going.
is meant to be foundational. So
Mhm.
you work on kind of the basic exercises that we like to start people off with. It's a class that's easily modifiable. So if someone were to come in, I just got a knee replacement, I need to take it easy a little bit. It's slow enough pace that I can probably help this person modify and do something a little bit different, while the rest of the class I can put through kind of the standard movement.
Okay.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
when's your next one?
Oh my gosh. The next time, at least at the Arcadia studio, I teach multiple days a week and at different studios. But for the Arcadia one that's nearby, I teach there Thursday.
Perfect.
So
What time?
Thursday at 10 is our
AM?
flow one. Yep.
Perfect.
That's a good one.
Perfect.
Are you doing a level one
At
flow?
10 a.m. At 10 a.m.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Or Friday, I
At
have
what
a
time?
6 a.m. and 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. flow one as well. So.
Okay.
Thursday at 10 or Friday at 11?
Thursday at 10.
Perfect.
Okay.
We done.
No, it's not done. You got to get on the website.
She's going to help me with that.
You got to.
We're gonna
The
figure
classes
that.
is full. You're not going to get in.
We'll get in.
You know. No, when they're full. They're full. I'm sorry.
But I have a good feeling.
Okay.
People are probably still recovering from their
But so
New Year's
seriously,
Eve.
what does she have to do? She
Speaking
has
of
to
which,
go
can I have
down
a little
and-
more, please? I like what we're drinking. What are we drinking?
So she has to go down to the studio
You're right.
and
Here's-
join,
Mhm.
right?
Rheana's.
And then
Like
sign
a
up for the
ballerina.
class.
Rheana.
Yes.
Ballerina.
Yeah, you
Drop
can't just
in.
show up and say I'm going to do this class.
We're going to sign up.
Sign up.
Why are you being such a worry wart? We're going to sign up.
No, I just said I'm not worried. Just do it.
Well,
So
Maybe we
cheers,
can make
cheers
sure
to
we do.
that. And
Yes.
I've been encouraging you to do this for a while now. So let's,
he has. He has, which is really cool.
you've expressed an interest. So
And you're right.
and now you have one of the best instructors. Listen, I've been doing this for 5.5 years, more than 5.5 years. I've had literally dozens of instructors in that time because I'm using 3 studios, and I've had so many instructors, and it's amazing to see the difference among different instructors and how they teach. It's all the same material, but some instructors are really great, and others not.
I know you're the favorite. I hope nobody else listens from that clip because I know he loves you
Well,
and you are one of his favorites. Why is she
respect-
your favorite?
Well, because just of her grasp, her knowledge of this of the process, and the way she conducts a class. She wears, first of all, she wears a little mic so you can hear her.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's great. I like
That's
that.
helpful. Yeah.
How
Because they're
cute.
playing music too, and sometimes the music's too loud. You can't hear what the instructor's
That's
saying.
smart.
It's
Not
like,
everybody
right?
does that.
No.
Silly.
Well,
Of
I
course
control
you should
music.
do that.
I'm one who is driven by music and that energy, and so
I'm
when I work
obsessed,
out,
yeah. I
I
love
need
music.
music, right?
Me too.
And a lot of classical studios. So I travel around the world and I take Pilates classes. Like I was just in Paris and
Wow.
I took a class and
Oh, cool.
no fans, no music.
Yeah, good.
I was telling my class
I-
that
well,
because
I
we're
could do
spoiled
that.
here when it comes to like, oh, I need music.
I don't
need
need
something
music.
set up.
Gosh.
Oh yes, Richard,
I couldn't
that was
do it
one of
without
the first
music.
things Richard told me. Actually, he's like, I don't need the music.
What did he say?
Sometimes
He was like,
it's
I don't need the
distracting.
music.
Sometimes it's
distracting.
distracting.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't do it without the music.
Sometimes
Are you
I'm there,
kidding me?
And I'm hearing music. I really like Chandler. She plays all this really cool music from like the 80s, not disco, but classic stuff.
Rock stuff, yeah.
And
I
sometimes
love that.
I'm in there, I'm in the middle, and I'm being distracted because I'm singing the goddamn song in my head, or
You've
like,
got to have the music. To
I'm
me,
moving,
music
I'm moving to the beat of the music, and it's distracting me from what I
The
should be
technique is
doing.
bad.
music is my happy.
Yes.
And I understand,
Yeah.
you
And it's 2024, and I want us all to discuss and chat about, what for 2024, not what your hopes are going to be, but what you are going to accomplish, or like what
let's
positive.
manifest this, right?
Yes, let's manifest.
Our
Yes.
vision board.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So let's jump on board with that, and we'll start with you.
Oh my gosh. What am I going to accomplish this year?
Yeah. What are your goals? What are your hopes? What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to improve?
Actually, I want more continuing education.
Okay.
I feel like the learning never stops, and I think with medicine, with anything, there's always more to learn and to learn from. I feel as a Pilates instructor, we get sometimes stuck in our patterns and repetitions, and so when I go out and experience other people's classes, or I meet different instructors and kind of see their teaching techniques, I'll take what I like and kind of incorporate into my style as well a little bit, which is kind of cool. So
I love that because you're always figuring out
absolutely.
how can I get better.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so I'm looking to take an additional certification or expand my certification into another program. Maybe it's something that's a little bit more internationally recognized. And so that's something that I've set for myself, actually, that I want to start another program sometime this year. So
You want to start it?
so basically going through another certification program.
I love that.
Yeah.
So where do you go find that?
For me, the program that I'm looking at right now, there's a particular master instructor that I want to work with. She works out of Beverly Hills.
Okay.
I went to her studio once, and she just felt really welcoming, and knowing my background, she didn't come off as snobby about it, and she didn't come off as looking down on me.
She was genuine.
She was genuine, and it was just like, this is another learner coming into my space, and I'm happy to help you. And so I really liked her energy, and I liked her her welcoming attitude, and so I want to work with her. And she teaches virtually, but I think in person is invaluable in that regard. So I'll have to figure out a way to get myself over to there. LA's not cheap just to spend a weekend even. So
I love that.
But yeah.
So would you take a course of hers, or would you go just take classes? Or both?
I would want to work directly under her, like either seek out a mentorship type program or that. And but like she's well known. She has had that studio for decades at this point. I think she trained Jennifer Aniston.
Really?
Yeah, and she had a lot of athletes that come through her studio. I mean, she's in a very prime spot in Beverly Hills.
It's an interesting point you just said. There are a lot of athletes, professional athletes, who do Pilates.
And why do you find Pilates to be? Why does it tone the body so much? Why is it so healing?
Well, Pilates in its methodology is meant to be a methodology to improve spinal health. So first and foremost, your whole body's being controlled by your nervous system, right? Brain, spinal cord, all of that. And so if you have a healthy spine, everything kind of just connects, right? And so the concept of Pilates, and by the way, like the name Pilates in itself is named after Joseph Pilates, the guy who started the practice, but he never called it that. Like he wasn't that self-centered to call his practice Pilates, right? It's something we coined and gave to him.
This goes way back to what, the 30s?
Late 1800s. It was like World War I is
wow.
the time that he lived, right?
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so he was a German national and was imprisoned, and he grew up in Europe, and did a lot of different movements. He did boxing, gymnastics, stuff like that. And then while he was imprisoned on the Isle of Man, because he was a German national, and I guess the British imprisoned him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in World War I, he was in this hospital ward and said, "Hey, can I make these people work out, like the people who are in the hospital." They couldn't move, right? And so he took these springs off the beds and turned them into kind of resistance-based equipment. And so a lot of the concepts he was kind of an inventor, and so a lot of this equipment that we use today are an evolved form of what his original equipment was, but he used spring-loaded resistance to help heal the body and force people to move and build strength that way.
Right, and this is on a reformer, so you can even do this laying down.
Right?
Wow.
Okay.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So
tell us more about Joseph. I think it's so interesting.
His methodology, he called it contrology, as a way to define the mind-body connectivity and how much the mind actually plays a role in controlling your movements. And so if you have that ability to, you become a little bit more fluid, you have a little bit more balance in your body, and again, more control of your body means you can, prevent injury or, make yourself stronger in ways beyond just, lifting things or just getting up and down.
So in Pilates, your mind is a big part.
Absolutely. And so I mean, he draws a point when he says like, oh, the music's distracting. Yes, like you should be more in with your body, but the way things have evolved, in a group setting, it's probably just makes more sense to have music. You're trying to cater to so many different learning styles.
Right? I'm somebody that I wouldn't be able to do it without music.
Right.
Like I have to have the music. Like music makes it fun.
Sure,
the
absolutely.
The important thing is that you learn to, especially the most important part is breathing too, through the breath, and it's very synchronized with the movements. So that, if you just are able to go in, sometimes I close my eyes, when I'm doing, and just feeling what's going on in my body and using breath as,
to kind of guide your flow.
That's the important thing. It's just being, and you become more self-aware, more aware of the mind-body connection, and sometimes you know, you can really zone out there a little bit. Like there's
Yeah.
this thing called on the reformer where you have a big board that you put up in the front where the
The foot bar
foot
is
bar is, and it's called
the jump board.
the jump board. And you're actually
Jump board. What's
you're
that?
actually, well, it's something you're laying down, and you know, and there's springs, you know, and you're laying down and you're jumping
Against this board.
horizontally.
As you're laying down.
So you're laying down,
Yes.
and you're launching yourself
So you're
against
jumping
this
horizontally.
board,
Right?
and you're on springs. And so with the springs, you're basically bouncing. It feels very trampoline-like. And so if you
Oh.
get into a rhythm,
So you're
it almost
jumping laying
translates.
down. And when I do this, I've noticed sometimes when I do this on a lighter spring, and you feel like you catch some air, you're out there,
For
you know,
a split
for
second,
a
but
few seconds,
right.
and it's just
you're like floating.
it feels like you're floating.
Yeah.
We call it moon jumping,
Wow,
right?
really?
That's super
And
Mhm.
you know, this is transformational. This is, you know, this is transcendental kind of experience.
So now, are you actually getting cardio as
oh
you're doing this?
yeah,
Or is it,
Depending on the workout.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
depends, yeah.
but like for something like that, when you're jumping, we actually named that class. It's called Cardio Sculpt,
okay.
right? And so that one's meant to get your heart rate up a little bit, because even though you're laying down, you're still exerting, you know, more blood flow than your typical class or whatnot. So, but for the most part, our flow classes, like the one I'm going to have you guys come in and do, it's going to feel
Thursday
a
at
little
10.
bit, it's just going to feel a little bit
Thursday at 10.
the exertion is going to come out of your effort into your muscle movements and what you're engaging, and it's not so much a cardio type effort. So I tell people all the time, Pilates is a great way to do cross training too. So if you're
Okay.
if you come in and you're wanting a super hard like hit style workout, Pilates probably won't hit that for you. Won't get you there.
I'm not
And
into
so-
that. I like more of a low impact.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
I
kind of
like
a
the cardio.
pretty ideal buzzword when it comes to
Yeah.
Pilates, low impact, right? And so
Mhm.
it's more building that connectivity. So if you're here coming in expecting like pump iron,
No, this
Pilates
isn't-
is not
No.
that type
But
of
here's
class.
the thing: no matter what you may be doing,
Mhm.
whatever it is, if you add Pilates to it, you will benefit.
But do we have any?
This is why professional athletes, football players,
Mhm.
Really?
big
They
guys
do
do
it?
Pilates. Hell yeah!
Right. So
Yeah.
So you have a lot of
Isn't it
men
like full
in
body,
your
right?
classes.
we
Oh.
it's a lot of women. It's mostly women at our studios, but it doesn't mean like there aren't any men.
Very few.
Yeah,
Okay.
few
Mhm.
comparatively.
And
You know,
somehow
Owen,
this-
that's
one of
more
the
than
few.
why you
Somehow
should be
this,
there.
I still
Yeah.
don't know how this happened, because you know this was not the case when Pilates started, when Joseph Pilates started Pilates. but,
right?
you
Because
know,
I mean, he trained gymnasts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York ballet dancers. You know, that was kind of how his movement evolved.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
And
so
s-
when he moved to New York, he opened a studio. It was like right next to the ballet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
a lot of dancers
really?
started doing this work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So
incredible.
it was great for flexibility training, right? You know, and more so, I tell people all the time, like you can have really great flexibility coming in, but you also want to build control and stability through your joints. If you can be hypermobile, you're at risk to dislocate something, right, or subluxate something, and so you want to have the proper control over your joints and your muscles to support whatever load that comes onto that joint. You know, every joint is a fulcrum point. Right, and if it goes too far beyond where it needs to, then you can potentially hurt yourself. And so, when we think about athletes who come in, they do like football players or basketball players. They have to do a lot of rotational twist stuff. They throw out their knee, right? They tear their
For the core
ACL, stuff
strength,
like that,
yeah.
right? And so,
Mhm.
not only core strength, but like you want to work on these stabilizer muscles
Okay.
around the joints, right, to
Yeah.
support this movement. That if you get hit or impacted or you twist wrong or something like that, you're gonna either recover from it or be not get injured at all.
So you're strengthening everything around.
So
to-
beyond just the
so you
glamour
don't
muscles,
injure.
right? Beyond just
Like
the
the
glamour
supporting-
muscles, I say,
supporting
I say,
muscles,
yeah, your supportive muscles, your deeper,
yeah.
you know, stabilizer
Yeah.
muscles. So these small
Mhm.
muscles that kind of build around your major
Especially
joints.
the abs, you know.
And the
So,
deep core.
Owen had a. Can you speak about it?
About what?
You thought you might have an injury that you want to. Maybe you can heal with Pilates.
Oh, a hernia? I don't think you can heal a hernia.
No.
Well, he's not sure if he has it. He went to a doctor
Yeah.
that said he
Gotcha.
doesn't
And
have it.
then the doctor said that it's a herniated muscle. So I don't know how that.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
I
maybe
mean,
it-
abdominal wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
right
So
there,
that
yeah.
one's tough. I mean, you can build
Yeah.
a strength for it, but actually increasing your intra-abdominal pressure could make it worse,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm.
Yeah.
if you're bearing down,
Yeah, you
that
don't
muscle's
wanna
going to
do-
poke through and make the hole bigger, and you
Yeah.
don't want, and there's different degrees of herniation where it kind of just pokes in and out and just goes back. You can
Yeah.
get stuck. If it's really choking up and cutting off the blood supply, that's like really bad. That's a medical emergency. You have to go in and get it operated on immediately.
Yeah, I'm
but
not there.
yeah,
I'm
right.
like not even at the first stage. It's kind of just like
It's
a
kind of
little-
there. You wash
yeah.
for it. You're making
Yeah.
sure it doesn't get any bigger.
But he hasn't been working out as a result of
Mhm.
the doctor. So, do you feel like it's healing now?
I don't really feel it anymore, to be honest.
So I think
but
Pilates
still
would be
see it
different.
a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because basically what caused it was him trying to outdo his friends weightlifting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Too heavy.
yeah,
What were
yeah.
you trying to lift?
500 pounds on leg press.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, no,
Right?
I did like 12 reps of it, and then on my 12th one, I just like felt like the pop. And then,
Others,
yeah.
and then you had the pots.
Mhm.
You just took it one step
Yeah.
too far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now, how long ago was that?
That's probably like a year ago.
Okay.
So you
Yeah,
have
it's been a
the
while.
medical background. He could come to you, and we could not overdo
Well, I
it.
mean, you can do core
You know.
exercises that, not to say it's not going to increase intra-abdominal pressure, that can still happen,
Yeah.
but you can be gentle enough with it where you can
Mhm.
still build the core strength and
Right.
and because I work with people who are postpartum, have
Mhm.
had like major surgeries in abdominal, and so that's something we want to be careful with too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that deep hypoflexion movement that impacts that area could be detrimental. So we do ab style exercises that more for ab stabilizing exercise, core stabilizing exercise.
Okay.
Think of planks,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. for
Dead
sure.
bugs, stuff like that.
Right.
And so there's stuff you can absolutely do that could help build the core strength without
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
putting
pressure,
adding
yeah.
anything more. into
And when
it.
you're
Yeah.
doing a private class, this is the scenario in which you're working with a person individually
Mhm.
on something like this, a challenge that they may have or so,
Right.
trying to
So
work
in a
through
private
something.
session,
yeah.
I can cater it to a person's particular needs. And in group
Mhm.
setting, I
Yeah,
kind of have to
big
keep things
difference.
general, right? It's hard to
Mhm.
get to
Big
everyone and
difference. So
their own things.
Mhm.
It's financially easier for people to afford a group session versus a private, right?
So what's a
always
group
comes in.
session?
So a group session is $35 for a drop-in. Okay. If you go the route of like taking a membership, for example, that takes the cost down quite a bit. You can do.
So what's a
like,
monthly membership?
So like an unlimited membership, you can take as many classes as you want.
Mhm.
Is at our studio currently $229 a month.
Okay.
Okay, and
So
then
$229
$229 for unlimited.
unlimited classes.
Okay.
right, unlimited
Mhm.
class, and you can go to
That's
all
what I do.
12 of our studios. So if you travel around the valley, you can do
Okay.
that too. And then with our 8 times a month, so people who come about, all right,
2 times a week.
like twice a week, right? Exactly. That I believe is $199 a month, and then
So
four-
only $29 more is unlimited.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. So
That's
like
smart.
the
That's how you
difference,
get
right?
somebody.
Yeah. So
Smart
on
marketing.
a business sense, like okay, you
Good
just
marketing.
invest $30 more and you can take as many classes as you want. So the cost of one extra drop in, right?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Wow. Exactly.
So a
What's
ninth
the
class,
private?
you pay
Good
for
marketing.
it, right? Exactly.
What's
And
the
so
private cost these days?
a private cost, if you buy one single session at our studio, it doesn't matter which instructor, but one single session with an instructor is I think $100 from when I last checked. And then if you buy a package of it, it drops it down like $90 a session or 95 or 80.
And
or
a session
something.
is an hour, correct?
Yeah, approximately like 55 minutes.
Do you think
more
you
or
would go
less.
to more than two times a week?
Um.
Or if you were like trying to really get in shape for a date or something, maybe you would go every day.
Well, when I was going to the gym, I was going like 5 times a week. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I go to Pilates 5 times a week,
Yeah.
Monday through
That's like a
Friday.
good number to.
And for me, that's what works. But if I wouldn't go to the gym 5 times a week. Big difference. I would not go to a gym.
Well,
I wouldn't go.
I'll go for
do
one
that.
day, take a rest day, and then.
Yeah.
But that was Owen's
Spread it
one of
out.
his passions, and,
Yeah.
and another reason why Owen
It's
has
a
stopped
totally
doing
different
that is
Yeah,
his
no,
experience.
dad had
no,
a major
100%.
I went to
Yeah.
a gym for years and I
major
really
heart surgery,
found it
major cardiac,
boring.
and his
Really?
even with private,
Text.
even with a
and he's been in
private
the hospital since
instructor.
then.
Gotcha.
Mm.
So he's been through a lot.
So
So
that's
we
why
need
I
to get him
started
back
doing
in there. I
Pilates.
think you're the perfect person. Owen, we're gonna get started.
Yeah, for sure.
No, because
I'd love
that
to
can
try.
strengthen you to get you ready to go into the gym again.
So I
Yeah.
have this
I'd love to.
client. She's absolutely wonderful. She's very committed to her Pilates practice and working out for her. She calls her part-time job. She's a retiree. She's in her mid-60s. She looks fabulous, and she does Pilates. She's a winter visitor here, and so she comes and sees me for privates
Oh,
only.
cool.
She sees
Wow.
me 3 times a week for private sessions,
Mm.
and the other days she doesn't see me. She has a personal trainer at the gym. and does weightlifting.
Wow.
And so she kind of pairs them together, and it gets her to what she wants to feel, her goals and her strength. She's incredible. She can lift a crazy amount of weight.
What's her age bracket?
She's mid 60s, like
Oh,
65,
wow.
66, more or less, I remember. And so
Does she look younger than her age?
yes, and her attitude is that of like maybe a 40-year-old woman. Like she's just going out, and in her retirement community, she almost feels like she doesn't get along with
She
everyone.
lives in a retirement community?
Yeah, she
Oh.
does.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
and she's like she's always out hanging out with everyone, socializing, having a great time, and she golfs every other day as well.
Oh, wow.
Well,
She's
should she
very-
date Richard?
very
Very
Is she
active.
single?
no, she's not. Her husband live out in the East Valley, but yeah, we work together. And what she personally likes, because she's so strong, I can push her. She told me specifically, like, I won't go. I will invest more and more. You know, when thinking about her finances, she's on a limited income. You know, as retiree, she's like, but I know I'm willing to invest in this because it's helped me so much. And the private sessions will get her to her goals better than her group classes because I cater things to her. There's certain things that she's limited in, where in a group class setting, she'd probably have to take a lower level class, but she's stronger in other ways where she would feel very frustrated being in a lower level class because she can do a whole lot more. And so, and I've had men like who come to me with like a bulging disc in their back. He's so strong. Putting him in a regular like level 1 or 1.5 class, intermediate level class, he doesn't feel like he's getting the workout he wants, but he's also he has certain things that he has to modify for that if I put him into an advanced level class, he won't be able to do. So in a one-on-one session, I can
That's where the
kind
private
of
classes
create
really make a difference.
a whole class that focuses on the stuff I can push him with, and then the other parts we take it easy a little bit, and so it kind of caters towards.
So what about if you did a mix of
Specific
both?
towards
What
the
if you
body.
like took a private lesson, you know, maybe once a week or every other week?
There's a lot of my
wish
other
I
clients who
could.
do the same
I
thing.
would if I
They
could.
will.
So that you learn how to do it separately, but then you show up.
Correct. And
And-
so they'll see me maybe once a week or once a month to check in and get something a little bit different and still take regular classes.
I love that.
So you can combine the two if you want to. And so, you know, and I get it. Like
that's my New Year's resolution. Make enough money to do a private class occasionally.
Right.
There you go.
Because I would.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really
And,
would.
and we have.
He wants to get private with you.
Yeah, and then we can.
Private. Let's
Yeah.
get down and get private.
We have different equipment.
Well, she's one of
that
the
we
instructors
utilize.
that I would choose if I was doing a private class.
Okay, I already know she's your favorite. He talks about you all the time,
Oh, jeez.
Oh, please.
which is really, no, he talks about how like your classes are, he just gets the best workout with your classes and
you.
your energy and
Well,
everything.
there's definitely differences
Mhm.
between instructors. Not that it's there. I don't have any really bad instructors, but I have
Right.
ones that I prefer that I get more out of.
You get more out of it.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
because their style is, you know, the good instructors just have a, like Rheana, you know, the class is comprehensive, it's coherent, it flows. And
It sounds like you make it fun. I can tell by how you are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
fun.
yeah, it's
No,
also
you're fun.
It's
And,
good
and,
energy.
you know, when somebody has great energy and a great
yeah,
vibe,
that's
you feel that.
yeah. of
Oh, yeah,
course.
absolutely.
And you just want to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's made
You're
a
not
huge
boring. You're
difference.
fun.
Well, yeah, you know, and I'm in a position of leadership at my studios, and sometimes having
Right.
that conversation about someone is like, you got to pick up the energy a little bit, because
Yes.
a lot of what we bring into the studio is what gets disseminated throughout class. So if we are low energy, the class is going to feel low energy,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so
Or if you're
a lot
negative
of
that
it's-
day.
right, it's very contagious, and so you
Yeah.
kind of had to put on a face or a presence while you're there. And so
Right.
part of being a Pilates instructor, and it's why some people I've seen go through teacher training programs, Pilates instructor programs, and just realize like, whoa, I don't have that presence to be in a group setting to like teach like that. They don't have that presentation, that style. It's almost like putting on a show almost.
Well, it's a little bit maybe a silly analogy, but like when you go for a dinner
Mhm.
and
You're
you
the
know you
host.
go to a great restaurant and the food's amazing, but if you get a waiter or waitress that they're kind of like
You're the
you know,
MC.
they're negative or
Yeah.
they're like not smiling and their energy is negative or bad,
Oh, yeah.
it kind of brings the whole thing
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
It makes it
Any
not
situation
it, you know
I agree.
it makes or breaks it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
and,
it does.
I've come to realize like
Mhm.
people come to our studio, and I've met many of our members who are just like, this is my escape. They're stressed out in all the
Your
parts of their
escape,
life.
yes.
And so
Mm.
if I come here and I bring maybe my drama or whatever from the outside in too, that doesn't help anyone.
No.
Like, no, that's not
No.
fun. They don't want to hear that. They want to come and be relaxed
People
and
are there for
walk away
different
with great
reasons.
injuries.
Some
Yeah.
people are there, it's a social event,
Mhm.
frankly. Some
Yeah.
people, you know,
Well,
They
it's
can
not
see
only
other
exercise,
people.
but you're exactly like you make friends
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
for
and
It's a community.
we've
community. Thank you. A
Ex-
culture.
our studios have done
Mhm.
so well over, when the pandemic hit, it was a lot of like, okay, what's going to happen, right? But the gyms were closed at the time, and so we had our studios closed for a little bit, and then when we reopened, this flood of people coming back and seeking us out. People who have gone to remote work, for example, are stuck at home. They don't get that office style socialization
No
anymore.
socialization. Oh my gosh.
So they,
wow.
come to the
I love
Pilates
that.
studio, and this is their way to get exercise and leave their house, leave their home/office space. And so, yeah, we are an escape for many people. And that's honestly why Pilates has done so well, because the movements that we cater to, we're not here again to like push you until you break a sweat or anything like that, but you're still getting movement that's great for your body, and a lot of what we like to call functional movement. Like I tell people all the
Exactly.
time, I was like, when you do squats with me in my studio, guess what? You do this movement every single day. When you get up and off a chair, you just did a squat. And so I'm trying to make you healthy
Yep.
enough so you can continue doing these
Yep.
squats into your late age without having to worry about using a cane to get up or anything like that. I want you to be as healthy as possible so you can live your best life, into your late ages.
So my grandma that passed away not too long ago, that was 105,
Mhm.
she was always exercising, but she was doing
Huge
functional exercises.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
out, planting flowers or
Yeah.
picking weeds and, hanging the laundry and always cleaning. Cleaning.
continually being
She was
active.
obsessed.
moving.
She was moving.
Yeah.
She would walk to the grocery store to get the groceries.
Mhm.
She walked miles and miles a day. And then her attitude was so positive. So I think that whole package is why she lived to be 105.
Oh, 100%.
Big,
And
big
Mhm.
part of it.
I had
And my dad at 95, same thing.
Yeah.
I had a master instructor that I met at a conference, and she explained this really well. If you think about the context of the world, of scientifically, like gravity's pulling us all in, right? We're kind of collapsing to ourselves, or it's trying to draw everything to the center of the earth, right? And so if you think about our molecules, everything in our body is drawing in. Pilates is meant to stretch everything out and lengthen you and open you
Ooh,
up,
I love
right?
that.
And so I was like, oh, it was such a great concept for me to think. And when I think about movement, the earth continually spins. We're always moving, and we're
Yep.
not meant to be static and still. And so our atoms, everything in our
Very
body
true.
is meant to move. And so if you counter that by just sitting down or whatnot, of course it's going to deteriorate you faster
And depress you too.
100%. And so movement is kind of the formula or the magic pill for a lot of things
Yeah.
in our life. Just continually moving,
Totally.
our mind moving, always having that socialization piece,
And reading something and improving.
right, exactly, drawing in
Learning.
knowledge,
That's why I love the
stuff like
show, because every show, like with you,
Mhm.
I'm learning. You're learning.
Exactly, yeah.
We're all learning.
and socializing,
And socializing.
connecting in a
Yeah.
different
Totally
way,
connecting.
and that's kind of
And,
what
like,
makes
we
the
get a
world go
bond
round,
here. Because
honestly.
we're here saving the planet.
Yeah.
One show at a time.
Or one wine at a time.
Yeah. There we
Thank
go.
you so much for bringing this angel here. I love her. I knew you brought her here so I'd start Pilates.
Yeah.
And
Had to
I
do
can see,
something.
I'm drawn in.
I had to do something.
I see
But
the
here's
attraction.
the cool thing about Club Pilates. Club Pilates has made Pilates much more accessible to many
It's
more
very true.
people
How
than
so?
ever before. How so?
Yeah.
Well, because they made it afford. I've known about Pilates for years, but I could never afford to go to like a private class.
Mhm.
So this has made just the way they've
So
structured
long
it.
ago, it was just a private thing.
I mean, it
Pretty
started
much,
off
yeah.
like 12 reformers in a studio is very, very large.
Yeah. This
Like I
is-
said, most
This is
boutique
new. This is
studios.
something that this was all started by a woman in California.
Mhm.
I forget her name.
Club Pilates?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
and after a while, this got going. She sold it, to a company, and then it kept going, and it gets sold to this bigger company, and now it's it's nationwide. It's everywhere.
Incredible.
Right.
So if you pay for that unlimited, you're saying I can go to any club in the United States?
Not
No.
necessarily. There's
Oh,
there's
okay.
there's a membership for that called the Passport membership, but the
Oh, okay.
unlimited through if you purchase through our studios, you can go to the ones that our franchise owner owns.
In Arizona.
Anyone in the franchise.
So the 12
Yeah.
studios that we own, and so there's other owners
That's enough.
in the
12 is
valley.
enough.
Right. So
Yeah.
6 here in Scottsdale, Phoenix area, 6 in kind of the East Valley area.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, you'd
yeah,
go
you
to
can
this,
jump
you know,
around. Yeah.
I've been going to 3 studios because back when I joined in February of 2018, I got the deal of a lifetime that,
Right.
that they don't have anymore. Because I was of that studio in Arcadia,
Mhm.
I was a so-called founding member. I was one of the first 50 to join, and at that,
Richard, how old are you?
you know how old I am.
Do you not want to say? Because I am never going to say my age on the air.
Well, I'm not saying mine if you don't say yours.
Okay, well, I know
Anyway,
that you
but
look a lot
anyway-
younger than you are.
Yeah, but
And
anyway,
Pilates has made your very toned. Like
yeah.
I
So-
hike with Richard, and you can see like when it's summertime, you can see he's very chiseled.
But when I got
You know?
when I joined and as a founding member, I got 20% off for life, and I also got, and they don't do this anymore. You have to pay a lot more money, but I still am. I can go to any studio in the country.
Yeah. You have this, like, just
Wow.
passport
Your grandfather
membership,
did.
yeah,
So,
all
I-
access.
but here's
pass.
the thing: after being there for like
Wow.
a month, I realized this is something I'm going to continue to do, and I really like this. I realized that going to one studio wasn't going to cut it for me if I really wanted to develop a practice, because I would need a certain class at a certain time, and so having the ability to go to use 3 studios.
Which made you so well rounded because you're getting
Made-
so many different
Oh, yeah,
instructors.
it gave
And that's
me
why I
a
see
lot
what
of-
Rheana's doing. She's going all around the world taking classes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's why you love her classes so much, right?
You just learn from I learn from everyone I encounter, and every class that I take. I learn things that I like. I learn things I don't like. Right. And so
Interesting.
things that work with my body,
really
things that
cool,
don't
yeah.
work with my body.
So what have you learned you don't like?
Oh gosh.
No, teach me. What's something like I would never do that in a class?
It's not so much about the exercise I wouldn't do. I mean, there's certain things that I would be more cautious, like certain movements that I've even learned in my training that I was like, oh, I don't think I would teach this because I personally have like strained my neck. From an
there you
exercise,
go.
like
Okay.
rolling back overhead, like I
Right.
don't have the flexibility for it. I went too
That's a
far
good
too
example.
soon, and I didn't properly prep my body for that movement.
Yeah.
And then I was injured for 6 months.
Well,
with
the
a
reason
strained
why
neck.
I want to start
So-
doing Pilates is I recently had injured my neck,
Mhm.
and I went to a chiropractor, and that made it worse actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have become friends with this massage therapist. That's like I love her, and she healed it.
Oh, nice.
But she keeps saying I need to do stuff like Pilates. It's more stretching. It would be good for my neck.
Right.
So, we have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
wow, it
Time
went by
sure
fast.
flies, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
for sure. Yeah, I think understanding that there's movements that aren't for everyone, and in a group class setting, like when I think about teaching to 12 people, I'm responsible for
It's a
12
challenge,
bodies,
isn't it? Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And certain movements I want to be able to, I would do maybe in a private setting where I can spot someone. I can't spot 12 bodies, right?
Yeah.
And so
So
I have
you
to be a
won't
little
do
bit
something
careful.
that you think could hurt them.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
want people walking out of my class first. That's bad advertising for myself. So
Right.
I'm not going to do that. So
So in
So, yeah.
closing, what would you what advice could you give to people out there for 2024 on how to get started?
just show up to a studio. You can do an intro class, you can do a foundations level class, but start at the ground and work your way up. People want to think like they come in, they're like, oh, the springs aren't heavy enough, I can push harder, I can do this. But the purpose of Pilates is helping you understand kind of the fundamentals of your own body, understanding how to control your body in terms of what should be still, what is supposed to be moving, and build that mind-body control. So at the very least, just start moving, and that's what I tell people when they come in. I don't care how you breathe, just as long as you breathe.
Mind, body, spirit.
Right, 100%. Yeah. So find that connection for yourself. Make sure you're present, not thinking about like your grocery list or all your to-do list. When you're here, dedicate the 50 minutes for yourself while you're in class.
That is so important. How do you get them to do that though?
Right? Just I constantly he knows I don't stop talking in class, and some people would say like, nope, you need to give yourself a moment of pause, let them think about it. But I always infuse a tidbit or advice or something during class. So, because again, people learn in different ways.
Yeah.
I expect 30% of things I say will be cemented in. The other 70% probably goes out the other way. So I'm hoping something connects and clicks.
Mind, body, spirit.
Right.
Happy New Year.
Happy
See you
New
soon.
Year.
Saving the planet.